The biggest thing is your support system, and a big part for me was church.
Domestic violence does occur within all faith communities. It doesn't matter what religion a person is, it doesn't matter what nationality they have, it doesn't matter what their socioeconomic status is. Domestic violence is something that often is not talked about in some faith communities, and people pretend as if it doesn't happen, but it does.
When a woman goes to see her pastor or spiritual advisor, I think the most important thing she should expect and deserve to receive from him or her is a listening ear, a caring ear, somebody who's going to pay attention to what she has to say and believe what she has to say.
Women who are in abusive relationships are not only having a safety crisis, a physical crisis, they're also having a spiritual crisis. And so when she goes to her clergy person, what she expects from her clergy person then is to address her spiritual crisis.
I do think it's very important for a woman to understand in these kinds of situations that it's not her fault if someone is abusing or controlling her in this way.
I turn to faith community, I turn to my friends, I turn to my family. And because of the person that John presented himself to be, charismatic, charming, my cries went unheard. It's just, well, what did you do to him instead of what is he doing to you?
The basis for any marriage is love and respect. And that respect has to be there. There have to be boundaries. There is no room in a marriage for abuse, for violence. Sometimes women think, well, I must have done something wrong, or I deserved it, or this is my role.
There are resources within all the faith traditions that do say to a survivor that you're wonderfully made, that you're a woman of God, that you deserve love and respect, that no one should oppress you or abuse you, that you deserve safety.
I got a lot of support through the women's Bible study that I was a part of, through the church, and that for me was just monumental. You've got practical things like being in a courtroom all day. I was a homeschooling mom. I had 2 little kids too, so just having places your kids can go and be safe was huge.
Safety is the primary issue that we should address first. What kind of danger is she in right then? What kind of danger might children be who are involved in the situation? And we need to try to develop a safety plan to make sure that she is going to be taken care of, that children are going to be taken care of, and that the violence isn't going to escalate to something worse.
The next night after he got served, I was actually at church and afraid. And so the pastor even, walked us out to the car just to make sure he wasn't lurking around, just even practical steps.
Once we've established where we might be in that kind of situation, then we can go on to deal with some of the other issues that she might be facing and specific religious or theological issues that might be concerning her.
We would not be where we are today without all of that support. So it's hard because you feel embarrassed, but it's your life. And I just always said I would do whatever I have to do for my kids. I could put that ahead and say, if I have to humble myself, if I have to even feel humiliated, then that's what I have to do for their good. But thankfully, I have not felt humiliated, not once. I've felt very humbled many, many times, but never humiliated.
You can expect your clergy person to make this mistake. The clergy person will probably say, why don't you and your husband come in for an appointment and we can talk about it. And so I encourage survivors to tell their clergy person, no, we can't do that. And the reason is because what the issues that the survivor and the batterer have are not marital issues. They're not having problems with how to balance the checking account. They're not having problems with communication. And so he needs counseling. She may need some counseling too, to work on her own spiritual health and growth.
It's important for a woman to know that most spiritual advisors do not have the requisite training or experience to deal with abusive situations. They're well-meaning, they want to help, but the practical fact is that sometimes they can make things worse. in the hopes of making things better. Sometimes speaking with the abusive husband or abusive party can make him more abusive. So I would always recommend that a lot of faith be put in people who have the training to help a woman through this situation. And of course, the spiritual advisor can help with spiritual matters and how to deal with it from a faith perspective, and a lot of emotional support. But it's very important that those who have the expertise in this matter be involved.
One of the pastors did get involved with my ex, but they were also the ones that said, the reality is this, and you need to take steps to not be in this trap. I don't know if I didn't have that counseling through our church, if I would have been able to step out. Because I did live in years of feeling like I wasn't submitting. And that's not necessarily the church. That was him saying that. And that was the manipulation and that guilt control that you start to question yourself. Well, maybe if I did this better, or if I did that better, it wouldn't be this way. And that's just not true.
Then we have women who feel like, I can't get out of a marriage because divorce is a sinful thing, that God hates divorce. And so women are afraid that if they even think about getting a divorce, that God will hate them. And so we then expect the clergy people to bring clarity around that.
I know that for some religions, a divorce is problematic, or some religions might be unsure about what the parameters are for when to get a divorce. I can speak for Judaism in that divorce is very clearly a part of the religion. In fact, it's a positive commandment that if a person is in a marriage that is not working or is abusive, divorce is certainly an option there.
Many women are taught in church that you need to forgive. When somebody does something bad to you, you're supposed to forgive them. I think it's important for us to get women the message also that forgiveness is important, but forgiveness is not a blanket okay to do whatever you want to do and to continue to do it. Forgiveness also comes when we talk about for our own well-being and our own health, letting go of things that have hurt us in the past. Theologically speaking, Christian churches have taught people to believe that suffering is inherently a good thing. And again, that's simply not the case. It's not true that suffering is good in and of itself.
So the bottom line is either their faith will be a resource for them to become healed and whole and to make sense of their situation and to move on and have a healthy life, or their faith tradition will continue to be a roadblock.